Hey everybody, Uncle Rich here for Who's Telling the Truth. Guys, today is October 30th. We're one day short of Halloween. This is show 193, and the name of the show is Kratom. And you're going to say, Kratom? Rich, I never heard of it. Guys, if you until last Thursday, I had never heard of Kratom either. I was sitting home. I was virtually blindsided by Allison Camerata on CNN. And I want to tell you, when I first saw this, it blew me away because she's a seasoned veteran. And we want to show you what Allison had to say. So Judy, video number 2, please.
Jay, this is incredible. First of all, it's astonishing that I've never heard of Kratom. Obviously, I'm in the news business, and I know lots of people who struggle with addiction.
Yeah.
And so, would this be a cure for addiction?
Guys, did you hear that? Judy? 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 What's going on? Judy, is everything okay? No? Okay. So, all right, well, all right, so anyway, so guys, I had never heard of Kratom. So that piqued my interest, and I have a remote control now where I can reverse. So I went back and I watched the whole clip, but before we do the whole clip, you know, she said she never heard of Kratom before. Well, guys, there's some people that can't even pronounce it. So, Judy, let's have clip number 3, please.
Did you hear about that? How do you say that stuff? Kratom? How do you say it? Kratom? K-R-A-T-O-M? How do you say it?
I would say you're probably close.
Kratom? Kratom, maybe? Kratom? I don't know how to say it. I've never said it, but I've read about it a lot. And it's a plant that helps people overcome opiate addiction.
Okay. Guys, is everything okay in the control room? I can't hear you. Yeah. All right, I mean, everything's fine, right? Nobody's having a stroke or a heart attack or nothing like that? Not so far. Okay. Holy mackerel. No, I mean, I really want this show to be an epiphany. I mean, this thing hit me like a ton of bricks, and I don't know what's going on with the clips. You know, it just makes me crazy. And I hate to be this way, but holy mackerel. Yeah, I'm trying to, but you know, it makes it very hard. I hear people talking in the background, you know, and this ain't easy. I put a lot of time and effort into it, and we go through the same stuff every week. All right, but anyway, let's pretend everything's fresh and new. And guys, you know, when it comes to Kratom, you know, if you think about the idea of Kratom and the symbol KR and the periodic number for the table of periodic elements, KR is kryptonite. And what was kryptonite? Kryptonite was what killed the bad atoms. So from now on, this Kratom is going to kill the bad atom. And guys, you're going to go, Rich, what are you talking about? You got a drug or a leaf that's going to kill, that's going to help me and my kids and my family and virtually everybody? And I'm going to say, yeah. And guys, but first we're going to have a little more fun, because once again, just listen to the different way that CNN pronounces the word Kratom. So Judy, let's have clip 4, please.
This, as some addicts are now turning to a little-known plant called Kratom as a treatment. What is that? Our chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, investigates.
Everything hurts here.
So guys, once again, somebody's pronouncing it a different way. But we're going to play the full clip that opened my eyes up. And guys, this is going to blow you away. And then we're going to get the whole ball rolling. So Judy, let's have clip number 5, please.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta has more with this.
Everything hurts, you're sick, you're nauseous, throwing up, diarrhea, your will to live is gone.
Withdrawal from opiate drugs. Many will tell you that you continue to use because after a while, it's no longer about getting high. It's to chase away the feeling you're about to die. For Patricia Slavin, it all started 4 years ago with abdominal pain and a prescription for Dilaudid. It was the first time in her life she had ever taken an opiate.
They upped the dose, and it just kept to the point where I was taking a very high dose of pain medicine. I had to get on pain management.
Every month they say, how are you? And I say, well, you know, it's not really helping as much. I'm still in a lot of pain. Okay, well, add this to it, this pill, and then this patch.
Lisa Vinson, Patricia's younger sister, also had abdominal pain. Over the past 10 years, she's had 5 operations, including a hysterectomy. And yes, she also had lots and lots of narcotics.
I was torn between not being able to care for my family or, okay, I can take care of them if I just take some more pills.
Within months, 2 sisters, Lisa and Patricia, were both addicted to opioid painkillers. But things would soon turn even more desperate for Patricia.
Every time they give me more, my body just get immune to it. But then if I didn't have it, I get sick, real sick.
So what'd you do?
There was a guy that I worked with, his wife had Dilaudid, but she didn't like them, she didn't take them, so he would sell me what she had so that if I ran out, then I still had some.
But one day, that same guy didn't have any pills and offered up a cheaper alternative, heroin.
And the rest, as they say, is history. It just went downhill from there.
She called asking for money for more heroin, and I told her, I will not send you money for drugs. I will not. But I will buy you Kratom.
Kratom. Around the world, Kratom, an herb, has been used for centuries to help people manage pain, but also for the withdrawal from opium. Lisa knew from personal experience.
The reason I started taking it was because I didn't want to withdraw. I had no idea that it was going to help me with the pain like it did.
We definitely believe that this could be a solution to, or part of a solution to, the opioid crisis that we're currently in.
Christopher McCurdy is a medicinal chemist. He's also one of just a handful of scientists in America studying the Southeast Asian plant.
I don't see anything that rivals or even comes close to the ability for this plant to serve as a potential treatment.
And yet, in the U.S., it is banned in 6 states, and the DEA considers it a drug of concern over worries of potential addiction and even some reported deaths. According to McCurdy, that concern is because Kratom is not regulated and has been mixed with other drugs.
Definitely, there needs to be regulatory measures put into place with this plant material, but there is a huge wealth of anecdotal evidence out there and some scientific that there is definite medical potential for this plant.
For something so promising, you may be wondering why others, including big companies, haven't investigated it. Part of the problem, it is a plant, and that means no one can patent it.
There's no financial incentive for any drug company to really pursue developing this into a drug.
How does the future look for you now? Your family, all your teenage kids that you have?
Bright. It looks beautiful. I have hope.
How confident are you that you won't go back to heroin?
Never fully confident. Never fully confident.
Right.
It's a powerful drug, but I think as long as I have Kratom, as long as I can get it, me personally, I'll never go back.
Sanjay, this is incredible. First of all, it's astonishing that I've never heard of Kratom. Obviously, I'm in the news business, and I know lots of people who struggle with addiction.
Yeah.
And so, would this be a cure? for addiction?
Well, it's interesting, and this is something that we come across quite a bit, in that you have something out there that shows a lot of promise, but for various reasons, it's not even studied adequately, Allison. So you don't have data on this sort of thing. There's for hundreds of years it's been used in other countries. We know the scientific community here is now starting to pay more attention. But because it's not regulated, there have been these reports of it being contaminated with other products, people getting sick from it, and that's why I think the DEA has had sort of a hands-off approach on this. What astonished me, as it sounds like it astonished you, is just how much evidence there has been that makes this worthy of further study, regulation, so people can buy a product that has some data behind it and that they know is safe. That's the key, I think, going forward with Kratom.
We don't know what the answers are, but we know we got to keep asking the right questions. CNN Newsroom with Poppy Harlow and John Berman is going to pick up right after this break.
Right questions. And that's why we surround ourselves with question marks on the show. You know, it's really simple. And CNN has come up with a new policy, and it's called Facts First. So, Judy, can we have clip number 6 to explain what I mean?
This is an apple. Some people might try to tell you that it's a banana. They might scream banana, banana, banana over and over and over again. They might put banana in all caps. You might even start to believe that this is a banana. But it's not. This is an apple.
So, guys, it's a new policy, and I like the idea. But you're going to have people like Uncle Joey and Little Stevie who are still going to call an apple a banana if Fox News tells them to call it a banana. It's that simple. They don't care about what's right and wrong. They only care about what's right. My party, right or wrong, my party. Right, Joey? Uncle Joey? And I tell you guys, Little Stevie is going berserk because of the arrest. You know, Manafort got arrested, and he thinks Hillary should get arrested. But guys, this is what happens. I mean, he really thinks Hillary should go to jail. For what? Doesn't matter. But, you know, Trump can do no wrong. But guys, we're going to show you that even the Fruit Loops, the Fruit Loops from the right, we can even join arms in solidarity with the Fruit Loops on the right, because even Alex Jones agrees that Kratom is good and beneficial. And guys, this isn't Alex Jones. He didn't change. He didn't morph into a different, this is a girl that he has doing his show, but this is his set, his stuff, and obviously his idea. And if Alex Jones will support Kratom, and if Mr. Liberal, Uncle Rich, supports Kratom, guess what? We finally got something in common. Uncle Joey, guess what? We can all get better together. So, Judy, let's have clip number 7, please.
Here we have the DEA planning to ban Kratom, which I've never heard of this actually. Someone just put this on my desk.
She never heard of it.
But these are leaves. They're closely related in the makeup to the coffee plant. And the DEA is specifically looking to outlaw the compounds found in this herb. Now, advocates of these leaves argue that it doesn't make you high. It's rather an alternative to traditional and addicting pharmaceutical pain relief. It's also being used to treat psychological disorders. And for those people coming off of opiates, it takes the edge off of excruciating withdrawal process. A lot of people, advocates for Kratom, are saying, this has helped my friends survive. They're not going back to these hard drugs, these prescription painkillers, the heroin. But now the DEA is wanting to make it a Schedule I drug, so you could be treated like as if you were had heroin in your pocket for these leaves. And these are leaves that have been used by people in South Asia for hundreds of years. It helps alleviate pain. It's a plant. It's a natural herb. And people say that the chances of overdosing on this plant is extremely low, if not impossible, because your body forms a natural reaction of vomiting before you would ever be likely to consume too much. Now let's take into consideration that prescription drugs have killed so many people. The deaths involving prescription opioids have quadrupled since 1999, along with the sales of those prescription drugs. So they're continuing to push more prescriptions as more people are dying. So today, at least half of all U.S. opioid overdose deaths involve a prescription opioid. In 2014, more than 14,000 people died from overdoses involving these prescription drugs. How many people have died from overdosing on Kratom? 0. From overdosing on marijuana? 0. But they do not want to allow people to have access to plants that help people deal with their pain in a natural way. They want to corner the market on this. So many risks involved with prescription painkillers, not to mention the fact that it can totally destroy families. If you want more information on this Kratom, there's actually going to be a march, Stop the DEA, on Tuesday, September 13th. You can go to kratommarchdc.com. They're going to be taking a stand at the White House coming up next week.
Guys, that march has already been held because, you know, we didn't drop the ball on this. I was completely ignorant, and I'll be the first to admit it. But now that I found out about Kratom and how beneficial it is, you're not going to shut me up. It's that simple. I'm going to tell everybody and their brother how beneficial this is. And guys, you're going to see as we go through the clips, you know, some of these stories you're going to say, this sounds like it's too good to be true. It sounds like it's a miracle drug. But guys, you know, even Fox News chimed in on it. But of course, Fox News had something negative to say because they kind of combined it, Kratom, with fentanyl. And this is what happens when some people die with Kratom in their system. It's because of they take a drug cocktail. So a lot of these people have all different kinds of stuff in their system. So what'll happen is, like, the DEA will say, oh, Kratom caused the death. No, Kratom didn't cause it. And we're going to try to prove that as we go along. But first, watch in the beginning. It's a Fox news station. And then they go into Chris Bell. And I don't know if you're familiar with Chris Bell, but I tell you what, guys, we're about to get an education. This guy has done a couple of dynamite movies. One of them is called Prescription Thugs. Yeah, about the prescription drug industry. He did another one with his brother, and they're gonna go it. And then he's coming up with a new movie, which I tell you, it's brilliant. And the name of his new movie, and guys, I'm telling you, this is brilliant. It's gonna be called A Leaf, L-E-A-F, of Faith. And when you see what the leaf of the Kratom plant can do, you're going to say, you know what? Maybe this is a miracle. Maybe this is a leaf of faith. But Judy, let's start with with clip number 8, where Fox News tries to give Kratom the bad news, and we won't fall for it, and Chris Bell will straighten him out. Number 8, Judy.
Kratom is here in Green Country. Those who support it say it
Little
helps
volume.
people with opiate addiction. But the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics is concerned it could be addictive.
You can buy it in powder, capsules, even liquid. It's part of the Kratom craze. Completely legal, naturally leafy, and deeply rooted in controversy.
This was like the devil drug. That's how he put it.
Linda Mottner blames Kratom for her son's death this summer.
He needed that drug.
And apparently it helps a lot of people that have heroin addiction problems and opiate addiction problems, and even some people said it helps with alcohol withdrawals. There's no need to make anything else illegal.
Withdrawal.
Like this thing where they're doing, like what they're doing is they're behaving like an archaic society. They're not behaving like America 2016.
My name is Chris Bell, and over the past 10 years, my films, Bigger, Stronger, Faster, Trophy Kids, and Prescription Thugs have helped change people's lives by putting everyday topics into perspective. Now, I want to tell you about a new documentary that I'm working on. It's about Kratom, I don't know if you've heard in the news lately, but the DEA is trying to make Kratom a Schedule I drug. This is an herbal plant that people take every day for pain relief. It helps them to get off of opiates. And you know, we have an addiction problem in this country. Every 19 minutes, someone dies from a prescription drug overdose. I decided to start taking Kratom about 6 months ago. And when I did, it completely changed my life. I mean, all the aches and pains of, you know, everyday life and just even like getting out of bed in the morning. So now the DEA comes in and they want to ban it. They want to make it a Schedule I drug and they want to put it in the same class as heroin. But we're not going to let that happen. That's, you know, I am here to tell you and to announce that I am months deep into my new documentary, and it is about Kratom, and it is about helping to keep Kratom legal and to stop this ban that the DEA is trying to put on it. I will be at the march on Washington on the 13th. I will also be, you know, getting myself out there. We'll be on the Joe Rogan show. We'll be on many other shows and podcasts talking about this. I will use my voice, my influence, and everything I can do to keep this plant legal, to stop the DEA from taking away a natural plant that helps millions of people. Please help support our fight. Go to facebook.com/American Kratom Association. That's Kratom. Kratom, however you say it, it doesn't really matter. Let's stop the government from taking away our plants. Thank you.
And guys, we're gonna show you a clip later from the Kratom Association, the American Kratom Association. But first, we're gonna show you a nice clip of Chris Bell, and he kind of introduces Kratom, but he tells you about what his brother went through. And some people might know his brother. He was a professional wrestler that wrestled for the WWA or the WWF. They had to change their name, I think. But guys, and he died from opioid abuse. And this guy, Chris Bell, went through he had the same problems, the same issues. So that he did a documentary he did 2 documentaries already. And guys, I tell you, I can't wait to see The Leaf of Faith. But let's go back and let's look at what he's done in the past so we can validate how good an effort and how he's putting his efforts forward to help the rest of humanity. So Judy, clip number 9, please.
I think Kratom is a cure for the opiate epidemic. I really do. And I know that's a bold statement. Now there's something on the market that's safe, that can stop things from happening, like my brother dying, and these asshole politicians want to be, hey, you know, well, let's shut this down. Like, and then it's not that black and white, and it's not that easy.
Chris Bell is the acclaimed documentary filmmaker behind 2008's Bigger, Stronger, Faster, a fascinating look at the intersection of America's winner-take-all culture and performance-enhancing drugs.
You don't mess with Hulk Hogan, and you certainly don't mess with America.
Its follow-up, 2015's Prescription Thugs, delves into the growing use of pharmaceuticals.
Suddenly, my heroes started to die. Lots of them. But it wasn't from steroids. It was from drugs.
Bell's new film, slated for release this summer, is A Leaf of Faith. It examines Kratom, a plant with a devoted community of users who attest to its powerful therapeutic benefits.
And it works well.
Oh, yeah. It's been used to relieve pain for centuries.
They call it an all-natural godsend.
Yet the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA, has labeled Kratom a dangerous drug and recently tried to ban it.
So can you just give us the basics? You know, what is it? How do people use it? What are its effects?
Sure, yeah, Kratom is just a plant. It comes from Southeast Asia in the same family as a coffee plant. It's probably about as addictive as coffee, so before we even get to that point, I'll just tell you what it's been shown to do anecdotally, now not in any real studies, because there's not a whole lot of studies, is kill pain, fight depression, fight PTSD, anxiety, and in turn it actually just makes you feel good. It gives you a state of euphoria. And a lot of people are afraid of that because they say, well, it gets you high. And I'm like, well, no, because I don't think coffee gets you high. So I think it's kind of the same realm.
And how do people take it?
Basically, it's just the plant, unadulterated plant. And they ground up the plant, and people take it as a tea or a capsule.
So what kind of people have you met, or what is the typical Kratom user? What do people use it for?
I was pretty shocked by the typical Kratom user because I thought it was going to be, honestly, just like a bunch of dirtbags. Like I thought it was going to be a bunch of like hippie, you know, kind of You know, like, yeah, man, we use Kratom, we're cool. And like, it's not like that at all. The community is so kind of straight-laced, like normal everyday people with 9-to-5 jobs. And they're using it really to fight pain, and a lot of them are using it to fight depression. I just interviewed a friend of mine, Dr. Murray Holcomb. He lives in Austin, Texas, and his son Grant was an addict. And if it's not for Kratom, he suffers such bad depression that he said he'd go right back to pills. And so he takes Kratom every day. He's got a job. He's a good kid. And it's like those people are the ones that I don't want to see suffer. And his father said to me, Kratom's not the thing that your kid's going to seek out. Kratom's the thing that your kid's going to seek out when he's already messed up on drugs to get off of the drugs.
And are there any negative side effects of Kratom, or have people become addicted?
Sure, there's negative side effects to everything. There's people that have gone to rehab for Kratom. Some people can't handle certain things, like overeating, for example. We have a huge obesity epidemic in 11-year-olds. Seriously, like that's the issue. We're making it easier and easier for kids to get prescribed Adderall and Ritalin and psych meds, and our kids are walking around like, well, let's shut this down. Like, and it's not that black and white, and it's not that easy. And if people want to make a change in this country, we need to rise up and we need to speak. Because when we spoke about marijuana, healing, all these pain and doing, they've been able to fight the powers that be and make that a reality. And I truly believe what my friend Joe Rogan says: the more people that have access to things like marijuana and things like Kratom, the better of a society we'll have. Because everybody's walking around stressed out how they're going to pay their next bill, how they're going to support their family. We're just so stressed. And that's why everybody's fighting over Donald Trump. And that's why everybody's arguing and yelling.
And so Kratom could be the very first cure for Donald Trump?
Yeah, cure for Donald Trump. I think Kratom is a cure for the opiate epidemic. I really do. And I know that's a bold statement. And people say, how do you know? Because I've done this shit. Like I went the pill route. I've taken every single form of opiate that you can take for pain, and this is better.
From an early age, my big brother Mad Dog was my hero. We always knew he was destined for greatness. So when he told us he was going to wrestle for the WWE like our heroes, the Hulkster and the Warrior, we'd believe he'd finally made it. The sky was the limit for the Bell brothers, and Mad Dog was leading the charge.
Bell and his two brothers were avid powerlifters and bodybuilders. The striking story of the family's experience with steroids and other drugs is a narrative thread that runs through his documentaries. He filmed Bigger, Stronger, Faster as his older brother, Mad Dog, was descending into his darkest period of abuse.
I went from being a guy who used steroids to a guy who used steroids and pot, and I still needed to escape reality. So I started taking ecstasy, cocaine, acid, painkillers.
And Bell, who had always resisted drugs, ultimately turned the camera on himself in Prescription Thugs to reveal his own dark secret.
You see, the truth was, Mad Dog wasn't the only Bell brother that was popping too many pills.
I'm just trying to tell you how I feel as a mother. I am broken to my soul. My heart is broken.
Prescription Thugs, you were, it's a very honest look at your own addiction as well as what's going on writ large in the country. What was your journey like? How did you get addicted, and how did you find Kratom?
Yeah, so my journey was really interesting. I was like lifting weights and winning all these national powerlifting competitions. I had a genetic hip issue, and with powerlifting and the hip issue, they were just so bad, and it got so bad so quick that I needed a double hip replacement surgery, and I needed it pretty quickly. And they did both hips in one day. Ooh. And after that, I've just never been the same. Like, after they did that, I was put on opiate painkillers. I went into the doctor and I said, hey, doc, I'm in a lot of pain here. And I said, I'm debilitated. And he said, you're not debilitated. You're using them in my office kind of thing. Like, I didn't do this to you. It's problems within you. So I go home feeling terrible about myself, and I go home feeling like shit, So I just continued to do pills for the next 2 years. And wouldn't you know, he calls me up 2 years later and said, I know why your hip hurts. I can see on your x-ray right now. We never caught it. The socket was never attached into your hip. I'm like, oh, now you see it, So I had to go get it redone. And then a month after I got my hip replaced, my brother died. My older brother, Mad Dog, who was like our hero. The whole reason why we played football and lifted weights and got into wrestling and did everything, just died.
After another relapse, Mad Dog crawled up the stairs of a sober living facility and was barely even able to knock on the door. A month later, he was sober. 2 months later, he was dead.
I was like, I'm not going to go out that way. there's just no way I'm gonna go out that way. And wouldn't you know, like a year later, I was doing the same shit. I went the same way, you know? Like I was just depressed and I was sad and I was hurting inside and I didn't know what to do. And there was nobody there to really help.
What you described is kind of a common situation for a lot of people across the country, right? They start out with an injury or something like that. They start taking pills, something happens, and then they fall into that. Can you give us a scale of what is the level of opiate and opioid abuse in the U.S.?
You know, I was just talking to my friend that lives in Louisville, Kentucky, and he said, if you're 20 years old and you got a paycheck, you're doing pills. You know, that's what he said. He's like, everybody here is doing it. That's how he fell into it. You know, we represent 5% of the world's population. We take 75% of the world's prescription drugs.
Wow.
And I think that's, a lot of people are like, oh, this happened to me or that happened to me. And that's the same thing with with Kratom. It's like, if you're in pain, you know, you need to find something that's going to help you. You can't worry about what other people think, you know.
And that's a reaction that you've gotten, right, is that people say, well, now you're just addicted to Kratom.
Yeah, now you're trading one addiction for the other. I'm like, no, it's not an addiction, though. I'm trading an addiction for a plant that's very safe.
So the way that it works is it does activate the same opioid receptors as, say, heroin, but it
yeah, the
in a
MU
different way.
receptor. So the difference is it doesn't bind to the receptor, it attaches to the receptor. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so the effect of that is that somebody who's addicted to opiates would have that craving reduced, but they would not get high.
Yeah, it's blocking the craving, but it's not getting you that high. You know, like I found it in the middle of doing prescription thugs, and I tried it, and I think I was expecting to get high, and that was the problem. Somebody on Twitter, somebody said to me, hey, have you ever heard of Kratom? You know, when I was doing prescription thugs, and I said, yeah, that shit don't work. And then it comes back and bites me in the ass because now on Reddit, they're like, I don't think Chris Bell should be representing the Kratom community because like look what he said a year ago. But to me, that's a testament to the fact that like I didn't think it did anything because I was looking to get high. Mm-hmm. Now I've been taking it every day since. I actually went to Thailand, and after taking it for 3 months, I was able to get off of it for 2 weeks with no ill effects, no side effects, no withdrawals at all. The only thing that happened to me was I had to go back to taking Tylenol and Advil in a combination to kill the pain. I'd have to take 2 Advil and 2 Tylenol each time. And that adds up, and that's going to hurt your liver. It's going to kill your kidneys, and we don't want that. You know, so I think having a natural alternative is a great way to go.
So just to clarify a little bit, so opiates are things that are derived directly from poppies, right? Like heroin or opium.
Opium.
And then opioids are the synthetic
versions.
drugs.
Usually they have a base from the poppy plant, and then like synthetically derived from there.
So the things like OxyContin.
Sure, the one that's completely synthetic from what I've heard is fentanyl, and that's why it's like the most dangerous and the most potent.
Fentanyl was also implicated in Prince's death.
Yes.
And some other celebrities too,
Yeah,
recently, right? Like Michael Jackson, I think.
Been related to a lot of deaths, and Kratom hasn't had any deaths.
Wow, wow. Guys, well, that's the truth. You know, Kratom hasn't had any death, but of course, like we mentioned earlier, there's been drug cocktails where fentanyl has been found in somebody's system, you know, where they're taking Kratom. But listen to what he said. He said that it doesn't bind to the receptors. It attaches to the receptors. Now, guys, I don't know, maybe to a lot of other people that makes, I mean, if you study biology a lot, I mean, I'm kind of far removed from this, but supposedly that if you were to take an opioid test after you take Kratom, you would pass because it's a little bit different part of the family. And we're going to try to explain that. But first we're going to show you. Now, Chris is going to come out with the movie The Leap of Faith, so we're going to show you the trailer to that. And then he talked about the American Kratom Association, so we're going to show you a clip on that. So first we'll show you the clip on A Leap of Faith, and you'll get a flavor for what that movie's going to be about. So Judy, number 10, please.
The United States is a world leader in prescription opioid abuse by far. How far? 90% of the world's opiates are taken here.
You know, before I had the stroke, I was doing about 90 pain pills a day for 7 years.
I had about 15 years of my life go by in a blur of opiates.
You could roll me up, stick me in a garbage bag, and put me out at the curb, and that was about all it was good for.
Wow.
Do I think pharma made mistakes? Oh, yes, I do. But we also know there's more heroin on the streets than ever before. Afghanistan and the opium runs poison Americans.
What if I told you I had the cure for the opioid crisis in my hand?
It's not new, it's not synthetic.
Kratom represents a great starting point for developing new, safer pain relievers.
It's a plant that helps people overcome opiate addiction.
What do you guys hope comes out of this?
That I get to keep Kratom in my life because it saved my life.
I'm just tired of pain.
This industry operates like a bunch of head shop little drug dealers.
They're packing capsules in their living room. They put it in a jar and they take it to smoke shops and sell it.
Do we want another addicting opiate on the planet?
People think slavery ended in 1865. It didn't. It's going on right now in 2017. If you're on opiates, you are a slave.
A leaf of faith. Isn't that dynamite, guys? I mean, what a play with words, huh? Guys, as soon as it becomes available, you know, we'll let you know here because, I mean, this is what it's all about. And the next clip we're going to play is from the American Kratom Association, and they mention Lyme's disease. And I want you to pay attention to it because where did Lyme's disease originate? In Lyme, Connecticut. And since we're broadcasting from Danbury, what could be more suitable? But first we're going to play the American Kratom Association, and then we'll show you the housewife with Lyme. So Judy, number 11, please.
Hi, this is Pete Canlon, Executive Director with the American Kratom Association. It's August 31st, 2017, and I'm standing outside of the post office getting ready to send the over 7,500 signed statements to the Presidential Opioid Commission that we will send today. We want them to consider Kratom as an effective alternative pain management therapy to get people off of opioid addiction. We'd like to thank the thousands of folks who signed this statement. It's significant that we are doing this today. It is the 1-year anniversary since the FDA and DEA tried to schedule Kratom. We won that battle, and now we want the Presidential Commission to recognize that Kratom can save lives. Thank you.
Guys, this is what they say about Lyme's disease now.
Every day, people across America are suffering from things like Lyme disease, lupus, post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic back pain, and addiction.
PTSD.
Many of these people have been suffering with no hope in sight. Until now. Kratom is a natural plant giving these people an alternative to prescription medication for relieving their pain and symptoms. Unfortunately, there are some in government trying to define Kratom as a harmful and dangerous drug to help the pharmaceutical industry keep the world reliant on their synthetic and many times ineffective and addictive drugs. We need your help to raise awareness of the positive benefits and non-harmful effects of Kratom, and stop government and big business from taking away this special plant which helps hundreds of thousands of people every day. Please, won't you help? The American Kratom Association, putting people first.
Guys, I'll tell you, it almost sounds too good to be true. It helps people with lupus, it helps people with Lyme's disease, and the next clip we're going to play is more or less a personal reference. And guys, you know as well as I do. I mean, you could always take one fruitcake out of the crowd, and you could always prep them to say one thing, you know, and you could try to trick people. But when you realize the sincerity, and when you listen to what this woman went through, and how Kratom helped her overcome it, you say to yourself, is this a miracle? I mean, can it be a miracle? What's going on here? So Judy, let's prove our point with clip number 12, please.
I, 2 years
going to be listed alongside heroin and LSD. Can you imagine that?
Hey there guys, I'm Chelsea. I'm 38 years old and I live in Northern Virginia. And I'm in my car right now. I'm on my way to march at the White House in support of keeping Kratom legal. And I thought I'd just take a minute and tell you a little about my story and why it's so important to me that Kratom be legal and available to everyone who wants to take it. I spent a lot of time outdoors in the woods, and last summer, like so many other people in this area, I got Lyme disease. And got it treated pretty quickly with antibiotics, but like a lot of people, I have residual symptoms. I still have migrating joint pain and fatigue, and just feeling really unwell a lot of the time because of this Lyme disease. So I was talking to a friend earlier in the year about, she has fibromyalgia, and I was talking to her about the things that she has been trying to deal with, you know, the chronic pain and fatigue. And she mentioned that she had tried an herb called Kratom and that it was working really well for her. So I went to Dr. Google and looked into it a little bit, did a little of my own reading and research, and I decided it seemed pretty safe, and so I figured it was worth a try. So my first time trying Kratom, I had woken up that day with really bad pain in my ankle, really bad joint pain, and it was swollen and just felt hot and just this burning, it's just this burning, searing pain, and I could barely even walk on it. It hurt so bad. So I decided this would be my first time trying the Kratom. I, got out it's this green powder, and you take it orally, you swallow it. So I mixed it with a little water to make this kind of little muddy mixture, and it's not very pretty, and gulped it down, and it tastes awful, but I got it down. And 10 minutes later, I started to feel the pain started easing. And then 20 minutes later, a little more. 30 minutes later, a little more. By an hour into it, my pain was 90% gone. I was amazed. That's the kind of pain relief I didn't even get from narcotics. I tried, on a couple of occasions after ER visits, because the pain was so bad, I had taken Percocet or oxycodone. And not only did they not get rid of the pain to the extent that Kratom did, they made me feel totally out of it. I am a stay-at-home mom. I have 2 kids who both have special needs and are a big handful. And I also have a lot of animals that I take care of. I have dogs and chickens and a cat, and I'm the caretaker in our household. So I can't be in bed all day. I can't be incapacitated because of dealing with my pain. I need to be able to function. With Kratom, I can. I'm not tired. I'm not loopy. You know how when you take a narcotic, you feel like disassociated from your body, and that's part of how it helps you with the pain, honestly, is you feel, outside of your body. Is that high feeling. I don't get that with Kratom at all. The pain is just gone, and I feel focused. I feel a little boost of energy, actually, similar to like a cup of coffee. And I feel like I can do the things I need to do without being in pain. That's all I want. During this journey, I've met a lot of other Kratom users, and all of them, that's how they use it too. That's all they want, is to be out of pain. Nobody is taking Kratom seeking a high, and if they do, they're going to be really disappointed because it's not much of a high. Another thing about Kratom, it does not cause depression of the central nervous system. That means if you take too much, you don't die, you don't stop breathing. I just looked up today, the CDC says that 78 people a day are dying from opioid overdose. 78 a day.
Wow.
That's thousands of people a year.
Wow.
Now, a lot of people are taking Kratom to get off of those opiates. So what is going to happen to those people when they don't have Kratom available anymore? It's going to be worse for them than for me, than just being in pain again. They're going to have to go back to narcotics, and that's just an awful thing to think about because it is such a deadly, deadly addiction. So I'm going to take off now, go to the march. Here's hoping that the DA will do the right thing and at least postpone this ban. We want to keep Kratom legal because it's safe. So thanks for listening to my story. Take care.
Now, guys, the reason why she was getting ready to march in Washington is because they want to turn Kratom into a Schedule I drug. And a Schedule I drug, we're going to explain to you with the next clip from the Young Turks. They explain why the Schedule I drug, and it's amazing. It's just really amazing how the drug companies and the politicians try to pull the wool over our eyes. But you know what, guys? Because of shows like this and because of the social media, we're not going to let them. That's right, we're not going to let them try to give us the double reverse anymore. And from now on, if you're going to trick us, you really got to do a good job. So let's see how they try to trick us with clip number 13. It's all about the money, what it always comes down to, guys. So Judy, clip 13,
So Kratom
please.
is actually made from a Southeast Asian tree related to coffee and has been consumed in Asia for millennia. The herb contains alkaloids that appear to activate opioid receptors in the brain and reduce pain. Although most opioids have sedative qualities, low to moderate doses of Kratom serve as a mild stimulant. Now, even though it activates opioid receptors, it is not itself considered an opioid. However, the letter the DEA put out made it seem like the two components, the constituent components of this drug are somehow opioids. They're not. Okay, so there's misinformation in this letter. And it's a terrible idea
guys.
because, again, it's helped a lot of people fight their drug addictions.
Okay, so anything that's got a mild stimulant, sound the warning bells. Oh my God, somebody might have fun with this. We must crush all fun on the planet. Make fun illegal, right? So here we go again. So coffee has a stimulant, but there's already an industry around coffee, so that's okay.
Adderall is a stimulant. There's
there's a good industry around that, and people making billions of dollars. We can't stop that. But if something is natural, which then leads to another point, which is that the pharmaceutical companies can't patent something that happens in nature. So if it's a marijuana plant or it's Kratom and it naturally occurs in nature, you can't patent it and make billions of dollars. Oh, they hate that. Oh, you're just going to have fun on your own without me making a buck off of it? No. FDA, DEA, every part of the government, get on it. Get on it and crush it right away, okay? Now, your drugs seem to be worse. They get people addicted on a much more consistent basis than Kratom does, than other natural things do. So what? So I'm legal. I'm legal. I'm not scheduled, right? So, and here, again, back to the emergency scheduling. They've been using this in Asia for millennials.
Millennia, yeah.
They're also using it for millennials. Okay, so what, all of a sudden after 1,000 years, they're like, emergency, Kratom, oh my God. It's an emergency to our bottom line. These stories like this that make me get to a point where I can't stand our government. Everything's about a profit motive. Everything's about crushing fun. And so I want you to be very clear. Until I read this story for today, I had no idea what Kratom was. So I got no dog in this fight. It's not like I've taken Kratom and I like it and oh my God, don't take away my mild stimulant. What name so? I don't know what Kratom is, but now that I know it, I know that you should be careful, and that's fair. That's what the FDA is supposed to do, for example. Now, if you're trying to regulate it as a food or a drug. And so you say, okay, make sure it doesn't have those, that it's not laced with anything,
Yeah,
right?
synthetic components. That's what I was trying to say, yeah.
No synthetic components, etc. Good. That's what I want the government to do so that we don't die while taking it, right? But what I don't want the government to do is ban it.
Yeah.
Okay. And hey, make sure that if you can, some pharmaceutical company can take it, a syringe, and get its internal components, and then double the price, and then multiply it by 20, and then sell it to us, then fine. Otherwise, we're not going to do it.
By the way, there's one final part of the story that I think is important to mention. Actually, two parts, very quickly. So again, the cases involving Kratom that led to fatalities also included people mixing with other drugs or taking Kratom that was mixed with synthetic material. So let's get that out of the way, right? So that's the biggest problem. If we legalize and regulate it, I think that we'd be much better off. The second component is that the DEA right now is completely lying about why they want to schedule it in that Schedule 1 drug. They're basically saying, look, we don't know enough, so we just want to make sure we do the proper studies in order to make sure that it's safe, and then we'll make a decision, right? But here's what happens when it's a Schedule 1 drug, okay? As we've seen with marijuana. It becomes increasingly difficult to actually conduct studies on that substance, right?
Yeah, if you wanted to conduct studies, that's the last place you'd put it. A Schedule 1 drug. As a Schedule 1 drug, you cannot conduct studies on it. What an unbelievable lie. What an obvious lie.
Yeah.
So put it as a Schedule 28 or whatever it is. If you actually want to do it, monitor it. No, our knee-jerk reaction is prohibition. Prohibit it. Prohibit it. What is wrong with me today? Make sure that it's not allowed, and then once we get back to normal, and 3 years later, we won't have done any studies on it. But when people ask, well, Kratom's been Schedule 1 drug for a long time. I mean, stuff is really dangerous. Some people died on it. Not on it, when people added stuff to it. Yeah. But still, that's it. It's over. It's Schedule 1. Now, good luck. Spend 30 years trying to get it off of Schedule 1.
Disaster.
Ah! Makes someone want to take some Kratom, whatever it is.
I mean, I'm not addicted to opioids, but by the way, it doesn't just help wean people off of prescription painkillers or heroin. People take it for their chronic pain, and it's a safer alternative.
Oh, then we can't have it at all. Are you kidding me? No. You need to keep popping that OxyContin, okay? And all the other stuff that they're selling to you for at exorbitant prices. Yeah. And natural plant that reduces pain without making billions of dollars?
Can't have it.
No. Schedule 1 right away. That's an emergency.
T.Y.
So guys, now we're getting an education on what a Schedule 1 drug is. But Judy, how much time do we have left? And I think what we want to do is, whoa, brother, whatever that happened there. But we want to, how much time, Kurt? 5 minutes. All right, Judy, we want to jump ahead to clip number 15 now. This is another individual. This is a personal clip put up by a woman by the name of Kelly Devine. And I want to tell you guys, when you listen to her story, you go, it's hard to believe that Kratom can do as many things that she says it can do. But once you listen to her, and at one point, guys, she tried to commit suicide 5 times. I'm not kidding. She was in so much pain, she tried to commit suicide 5 times, and she's so happy with Kratom. She said, thank God that I suck at suicide, because now I can live my life. So guys, don't believe me. Let's listen to Kelly, and then listen to what she says, because it's so important where you get your Kratom from, and that's the next step we're going to show you. So Judy, clip number 15, please.
Hi, my name's Kelly Devine, and I'd like to talk to you about Kratom. I have been using it since December, and I'm now off of nearly 13 out of 13 medications, completely off of 11.
Wow.
This is Kratom, and I get all of my product from a vendor. I ask for a copy of their lab results to prove that they do test it for things like metal, microbes, mold, yeast. I urge you to do the same.
She asked for the lab results. See that, guys?
I also suggest not buying it at head shops unless it's a brand that you are familiar with, because you never know what you're getting, where it's coming from. I also use other herbs.
Guys, I called GNC. They don't carry Kratom. I tried.
A little bit about me. I've been using it since December. I was on 13 medications. I'm now on 2, and out of the 2, I only take 1 a day of each, where I was taking 5 and 6 a day. I had tried to commit suicide 5 times. One time, I slit my wrist in both directions. Another time, I took 150 amitriptyline. I was in ICU for 3 days. I was in the
3
nut house
days
for
in
10.
ICU. 10
Since
days
using
in the nut
Kratom,
house.
I am no longer suicidal. I have not tried it since. I have more clear thinking. My mother's ill. I'm able to take care of her now. Back my life. I told my dad that I might one day get off of disability and actually be able to work again.
She's going to get off of disability, guys. You believe this?
I might have a relationship with a man again, and before that was never, ever possible. If you hurt like I did, you can't move anyway, so it's impossible to be a partner to somebody, much less care about somebody else. My home no longer lacks attention. My family have attention, and they have the old Kelly back. So my mother is ill, and now I'm able to take care of her, where in the beginning, she was always taking care of me. Sometimes she takes it too. In fact, she took some today, and so if anybody out there thinks that there's no hope for us,
let this play.
and you're thinking about giving up and throwing in the towel, don't. Because I thought that was the only way I was going to get relief until I found this plant. And when I found it, I was grateful I didn't die. And I'm glad I suck at suicide.
All right, Judy, come back to me real quick.
If I had
We
died,
got to
I
go to
never
clip
would've found
number
this
16, video 16, real quick, because we've got to show Coastline Kratom. Get that on, number 16. 16, Judy. Judy.
I started Coastline Kratom in 2015, and we've quickly become one of the fastest growing kratom companies in the entire country. We have a wide variety of kratom strains. We have red Meng Da, we have white Bali, we have green Malay, we have everything that the average kratom customer is looking for. We've also put together a beginner's pack, so for the customer who might not know what they're looking for, that's a perfect choice. And I think what's attracting people to Coastline Kratom is that when they buy from us, they know that they're getting the best quality product, and they're getting fanatical customer support.
See you later.